Hey everybody, DM Jim here, and welcome to a new episode of the Tabletop Engineer. Today is part 4 of the Gunship project. It's the final video in the series. I am done with this thing, or at least sort of done. I've got a few tweaks I want to do to it. But this was my interpretation of a ship called the Thunderhawk. It is a, if you Google Warhammer 40K Thunderhawk, you'll find pictures, lots of pictures of it. I've never seen one in person at my local gaming stores, but the ship just a long time ago caught my eye, and I have been wanting to make one for a while. Just never really had the nerve to try it. If you go back from part 1 up to today, you will see how this project has transpired. And what I have ended up with is this. Landing gear, missiles. I didn't paint the bottom. I'm going to do that. This thing was so fun to make. And now that I get to hold it in my hands and, have it as a piece of terrain that could be thrown down on, say, a sci-fi game or something like that, I am just so happy with how this thing turned out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the tabletop and show you how I finished it up. It didn't take a lot. Let's get to the tabletop. We'll start right where I left off with getting this thing painted, getting the missiles and the landing gear done, and then I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, so I'm getting ready to tackle the landing gear. And the landing gear is pretty straightforward. It just needs to be able to hold the weight of the gunship. And to do that, what I've found, I dug through my junk drawer, I found these 3D printed base pieces. They're from a company called Necroplex that makes 3D printed terrain. And this was just one of their decorative pieces. It looks sufficiently, technical. It's got, circuits and things like that. So I've got 3 of those. There's one landing gear goes up here in the front, and 2 go under each of the wings, or more actually closer to where the wing meets the body. And then, in order to get these connected to that, I wanted, something that looks sort of technical for the the pistons or the mechanical moving parts. And I've got these pieces right here in various lengths. There's short ones, long ones. And these come from a VEX, V-E-X robotics kit that I've had forever and ever. I don't do a whole lot with VEX. I used to do a lot with Lego robotics. But the VEX kit just has a lot of crazy looking parts. And I'm just going to use these to create some sort of landing gear that looks suitably complex. So I'm going to put the camera back up top and let you watch. Okay, so there you go. That is the gunship from start to finish. I still want to do a few little odds and ends to it, but not right now. I need to take a break from it. But if you watch the whole video, you probably, a lot of it was high speed because I just didn't want to bore you with all the little, things that I've done in other videos. But ultimately what it came down to was I primed the entire thing in a flat gray. And then I went back over the armor panels, the highest, layer, and I went over them with a color called Denim Blue from Apple Barrel. It's blue, but it's more gray. And what it did was it allowed these panels to sort of pop out and the dark gray remain. The reason I did that was I did not want to apply a wash to this. Now I have a big old jar here of my wash. And what I have found is while the wash is great on foam, painted foam projects, stuff that's made of chipboard, inevitably when you put the wash on this, it'll get in there and it will soften the chipboard and it just doesn't do well. So I decided to skip the wash, and instead what I did was I went out and I set it down and I hit it with multiple passes of black paint from a distance. I got more up front as if it was, taking a lot of blast from the front, and it's less heavy towards the back. But on the sides, you can see it starts heavy and gets there. I'll include some high-res photos of this at the end of the video so you can see it better. I'll put it on the Lazy Susan and spin it for you so you can see all the angles. But ultimately, what it did was it weathered it and it dropped the brightness of that blue-gray denim blue a little bit, and it just pulled it all together. And now it looks more like a gray gunship with some bronze and yellow-tipped missiles and things like that. But all in all, it's so fun to hold this thing. The landing gear, as you saw, was made from just some Vex robotics parts. Vex is a robotics kit that's out there. And I just made these landing gears. At first, I didn't like the landing gear because they looked really long compared to the front one. But when this thing's sitting down and you look at it, it actually looks like a bird of prey. Those real long, like it's sort of coming in screaming with those legs down. And ultimately just turned out exactly the way I wanted it. All right, that's it for the Gunship. Let me tell you this. You've already heard me say it in a previous video. I had so much fun doing this. I want to do more advanced projects like this. The downside is they take a lot of time to make, and they also take a lot of time to edit. So I mentioned this in a live event over at the Facebook page, that what I'm thinking about doing is creating a Patreon dedicated to projects like this, where I will post unedited raw video mostly, and then probably clean it up for one final video. But people who are interested in this level of project that is going to take more than 1 or 2 weeks, I don't like doing these 4-week projects. They take a long time and they drag for me and for you. So I think I'm going to pull these out, and anything that is this level, I'm probably going to put on a new Patreon for the Tabletop Engineer. That means I'll have 2 Patreons, one for advanced videos and another for the Bexham's Bizarre Magazine. So now that I've mentioned the Facebook page and Bexham's, let me wrap up by saying, please hit the subscribe button below if you want to be notified in the future of new videos. Bexham's Bizarre Magazine is a monthly magazine that I create. I have contributors who also submit stuff. It is dedicated to RPGs and war games, and it's just a mix of really cool articles and random tables and this, that, and the other. If you are interested, take a look at the description below. You can find a link to download the free issue number 6, so you don't have to buy one right away. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. Right now, it's only $2 an issue. It will be going up in price next year, but if you are like what you see, please consider subscribing because it helps me pay my contributors and keep the magazine going. Facebook page is called the Tabletop Engineer. If you're on Facebook, come join us. I post random articles, photos. I do live events mostly on Wednesdays. And I'll post additional photos and things of projects that I didn't get to do in the video. So please come join me there. That's it. Next week, I will be back for a new project. This one is I think this is going to be just a 1-part video. It's pretty big. And I'll give you one hint. You ready? Goblins. I'll see you next week. Take care.